They travel in groups in open water for protection from predators, but in coastal areas they often swim alone. Southern stingrays are generally docile and prefer to stick to warm, shallow coastal waters. Many anglers try to catch them from piers. The best methods for catching these fish include bait fishing and surf fishing. Smaller southern stingrays can be caught with a rod and line rigged for bottom fishing with a strong line and baited hook. Once a southern stingray is hooked, the angler should try to slowly reel it in, gently bringing it closer to shore. Since these are large fish, 150-pound braided line is recommended. Here are some effective fishing methods and techniques for catching southern stingrays: bait casting, surf casting. Best baits, lures, and tackle for southern stingrays. The best bait for catching southern stingrays is live bait, such as fish, shrimp, or crab. So either you've caught a stingray and realized you don't know how to safely remove the hook, or you're thinking ahead and want to make sure you know how to remove the hook without getting stung by the stingray when you catch it. In either case, I hope you don't get stung because it's pretty painful. Learning how to remove a stingray hook without getting stung is an essential skill when surf fishing. First of all, don't cut off the stingray's barbs. It's unnecessary and pointless, I mean it. If for some reason you don't follow this advice, consider the following: to remove the barbs, treat them as you would a fingernail. Stingrays don't feel the barbs, but they definitely feel pain where they attach to their bodies. Don't rip and pull, just cut them cleanly. If you cut the barbs off, they will grow back, but they will not be able to defend against predators. Whenever I write an article on a searchable topic, I do a little research on the type of information that is already out there, and I do my best to fill in the gaps and in some cases provide more accurate information. It was shocking to see all the top results include the recommendation to remove the barbs. For that reason, please be sure to share this page on social media, and in any other way you can, because it is important to educate anglers on this topic. You will not need to remove the barbs to safely remove a stingray, nor should you remove them. Understanding the capabilities and observable anatomy of a stingray can help you feel secure about the barbs. If you plan on killing the stingray for bait or food, that is a different story. About the stingray's sting first, let's get one thing straight. Stingray tails do not and cannot sting you. In fact, you can grab the tail if you really want to. Should you? Not unless you really need to or you really know what you're doing. Many people actually don't realize that it's not the tail that you should be concerned with, it's the barbs. Here's a close-up of a bat ray's barbs, which are almost identical to those of a stingray. Stingrays use their barbs to fend off predators, and since they spend most of their time on the bottom, they only need to worry about what's above them. For that reason, their anatomy doesn't allow their barbs to reach below their bodies, for the most part. They can try to reach below by bending their tails side to side, but that's largely ineffective. Their barbs are flexible and effective at the top. They use their barbs much like you'd imagine a scorpion would use its stinger. Their tails stick up above their bodies and they stab their barbs into anything that could be considered a predator. This is why many stingray injuries occur on the sides and tops of people's feet and even the sides of their ankles. So let's talk about how to safely remove a hook from a stingray. There are 3 methods that I typically use when removing a stingray from a fishing line. I will explain them in order of what I think is the best option. With all of these methods, I recommend using pliers. Your best and easiest method will be the one where you don't even touch the stingray. I recommend this method. In short, you leave the stingray in the water until you have the pliers. Once you have the pliers in your hand, hold the hook and shake the stingray off. This is the safest method for the angler and, if done smoothly, the safest method for the stingray. It's simple, easy to do and easy to get used to. Leave the stingray in the water while you place the rod between your arm and body to free up both hands. Hold the line in one hand and the pliers in the other. Lift the stingray out of the water, by the line, and use the pliers to grip the hook. Make sure the hand holding the hook is facing down, and ideally above the arch of the hook. Keep the stingray away from your body and feet. Flip the hook over so the stingray falls off the hook and back into the water. In this method, we will get the stingray onto dry, tight sand and have it lay on its back while we insert pliers into its mouth to remove the hook. This can be a little tricky if the hook is slightly swallowed. In that case, I will flip it over and unhook the stingray that way. Typically, a mosquito-sized hook will be at the edge of the stingray's mouth. Pull the stingray onto dry, tight sand where the waves can't hit you. Use your fingers to lift the snout, front, off the stingray so you can see the hook. Grip the hook firmly with the pliers. Make sure your hand holding the hook is facing down the body and ideally over the arch of the hook. Push the hook in the opposite direction to the direction the hook is going into the fish's mouth. For next steps, refer to the section below on how to hold/carry a stingray. This is the third option only because of the skepticism surrounding the idea of turning a stingray upside down as being bad for them. I haven't found any studies that show this to be true, but if I can avoid it, I would. Personally, I don't think that lying on your back is any worse for them than being out of water, but I'm sure they prefer it. Pull the stingray onto a dry, tight patch of sand where the waves can't hit you. Grasp the leader to flip the stingray, or slide your hand underneath. Place your other hand on the stingray's belly and apply gentle pressure to secure it. Make sure the hand holding the hook is facing down the body and ideally over the arch of the hook. Push the hook in the opposite direction of the hook going into the fish's mouth. When handling the stingray, don't put your hand near the base of the tail and don't hold anything on top of the stingray. If you put your hand anywhere on top of the stingray, it's likely to sting you.